And the global fight against this deadly disease. Trials are being conducted all over the world to fight the COVID pandemic, and new drugs are being tested to treat patients. The latest being remdesivir, which has been now given an approval by the regulators in the United States of America. Joining me on the broadcast right now is Dr. Rakesh Sharma, who is the Director of Critical Care and Chairman at the Sienna Medical Center in Smithtown in New York. Doctor, thank you so much for joining us. The past month has been a really tough time for the medical services, the medical staff and the doctors in the United States of America. My first question to you is, what is the situation looking at right now in New York in particular, where it is over 3 lakh cases have been reported, and what are we looking at in the coming future, given the fact that more drugs are being tested for the treatment of COVID patients?
First of all, good morning to you and to all my friends back home in India. We are lucky that right now we are on the downslope of COVID-19, which officially is called SARS-CoV-2. Luckily, this is, as I said, is a downslope, but we went through very tough times in the last 6 weeks. And as you know, that northeast of United States was affected severely, and New York being the epicenter of COVID-19. And I am in New York, and I have seen the worst of COVID-19 crisis in my area as well as in my ICU. I am in charge of medical ICU, and normally we have 23 beds in ICU, but we had to expand to 35 beds. And for the last 6-7 weeks, we have been dealing with at least 35 to 38 patients in ICU and more than 120 in our hospital, and they all are COVID-19 patients. But I am going to concentrate more on ICU patients who are 90% on the ventilators, and some of them were not kept on the ventilators. But luckily, at this point, I can take a sigh of relief that we have gone through the tough times, and we are looking for a relief from COVID-19 at this point.
Doctor, in the past few weeks, Dr. Sharma, in the past few weeks, there have been a lot of drugs that have been tried for the treatment of COVID patients. We earlier heard about how hydroxychloroquine could have been a possible treatment for COVID patients. Now the US FDA has gone ahead and approved remdesivir. What do we know so far about the remdesivir drug? Because it was used for treatment of Ebola patients. But how soon can hospitals across the United States of America, and particularly New York, are expected to use remdesivir, if at all they will use that?
Okay, remdesivir was actually initially started for SARS as well as for MERS coronavirus. And we didn't have too many patients of that, at least not in US. So now it's being tested for COVID-19. And just for my viewers or your viewers, I want to say there are 2 major trials that happened in the last month or so. One of them in China, which included 237 patients, and that did not show any significant benefit of the drug. The second one, which was just finished 3 days ago by NIH, which is National Institute of Health in the United States, that included 1,063 patients. And in that trial, they showed that with remdesivir, you will have shorter stay of patients in the hospital. Instead of 15 days, they will stay in the hospital for 11 days. As far as mortality is concerned, it was not statistically significant, although they did show that the mortality will decrease from 11.6 to 8%. Now, regarding this drug, it's an antiviral drug which stops a replication of virus in the cells. This drug is not a cure. I just want to tell your viewers that it has shown some benefit in cutting down the stay of the patients in the hospital, but in no way it's a cure, and in no way it shows significant mortality reduction. So this is not the drug which is like Eureka, that we got it. I think we need to get better drugs, but right now, this is better than nothing.
Well, Dr. Sharma, one more question. Even as the entire country in India is under lockdown and The US has also placed restrictions across the country, and we just heard Governor Andrew Cuomo also saying that a lot of restrictions are going to be in place. There are some citizens across the United States of America who's not taking the restrictions too well. As someone who has been treating patients, COVID patients directly in the intensive care unit and managing, how do you view the situation? How do you view the upcoming days and the next few months? What is your view about the lockdown and restrictions?
I congratulate Prime Minister Modi for lockdown of the entire nation of India. I think that was the smartest move, because with a population of more than 1.3 billion people, if it had gone down, I don't think Indian medical system was able to handle a lot of people in severe COVID-19 infection. In US also, in the state of New York, we are overwhelmed, or we were overwhelmed for the last 6 weeks. Luckily, we had enough ventilators, we have enough beds in New York, so we were able to cope with the situation. But looking at the public in United States, some of them who do not want to obey the rules, I think it's a big mistake. The only thing that has shown to cut down the proliferation of COVID-19 is social distancing and the masks. So at the same time, of course, hand washing. So anyone who thinks this is a joke needs to think it again. They just have to visit ICU for 5 minutes and they will be scared like anything. So this is a serious situation, and people who don't want to wear the mask or think this social distancing is not necessary are going to make a major mistake. And yes, slowly and slowly, we have to open up the city, the businesses, and the society, but one has to be extra careful. You may know that New York City has already canceled the schools of this remaining year, which normally goes till the last week of June. So the schools were closed in the first week of March. So the entire school system and colleges will be closed for the rest of the year, which ends in late June. So they are taking it very seriously right now. So I'm hoping that public in United States also pays that much attention, because there could be a second wave. If you look at the graph of Spanish flu, more people died in the second wave than they died in the first wave. So I don't want people to relax and just not pay any attention when things are opened up. So one has to be extra careful.
Dr. Rakesh Sharma, thank you so much. It was a pleasure having you on Republic Media Network, and we salute the work that you've been doing in the United States of America. Some important points being made by you, and we wish you all the best in your endeavors in the future. Thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast, sir.
Well, thank you for this opportunity. Best of luck.